All right, sir. If you don't mind telling me what is your name and your major.
My name is Nicholas Holden, and I'm a photo major at Texas State.
All right. Um, can you tell us about the best picture you've ever taken or a memorable picture that you've taken?
Yeah, actually, it would be this photo, and I took this in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, and it is a buffalo about 10 feet from where I took the photo. Um, I we came across a buffalo herd in Yellowstone, and I couldn't get close enough with the lens I had at the time, so I walked away from the car and snuck away from the state trooper. Well, I'm walking and I pass this tree line and I hear this buffalo in the tree line walking around, about 10 feet on my right side. Well, I turn around and I get one photo before it hears the shutter go off, which is when you take the photo, it makes a little clicking sound. I took the photo. He heard the shutter, and as soon as he heard it, he started to charge me. Well, I ran away as fast as I could, and I watched him walk off into the other side of the forest. And the only photo I got was this photo, and that was in Yellowstone. That's called my 10-foot encounter with Native America.
So I guess would you say that nature are your favorite type of pictures to take, or what would be your favorite type of pictures to take?
It really varies. I would say I specialize in wildlife and I guess action photography is probably what my specialty is, since I had experience with marketing. My favorite though, where I get the most joy out of it, is probably like human interaction, just like documentary, straight photography, and then getting those little moments between either human interaction or wildlife that are things you wouldn't see every day, or maybe things you pass up every day.
Okay. And have you done any competitions with the pictures that you've taken?
Yeah, I've done quite a few. The first big competition I had was through Middle Gray Photography. It's a photo club at Texas State, and it was in San Antonio. And I submitted a water photo, and it got accepted in this gallery called the R Gallery in San Antonio. And on the same night, it sold for $150. And the second show was through Middle Gray again. That was in Austin on 6th Street, and that was another buffalo photo from Yellowstone. And my third competition was in a magazine called Photographers Forum. It's a huge professional and student-wide magazine for photographers, and you can submit to it. And I submitted my photo out of 13,000 other entries, and it got selected for the top 100 in the magazine coming out this coming month. And then the one I'm in now is through ArtStarter, and that's a student-friendly competition where you put your stuff online. You can go look at it online and buy it if you want, and that's through ArtStarter.
Okay. Well, I guess you said that you like human interaction. So, do you take any personal pictures, or is there any way for people to actually book you for you to take their pictures?
Yeah, I'm always taking personal photos, senior photos, grad photos, um, engagement photos, or anything that someone's interested in. They can definitely contact me. I have a Facebook page. It's called Nicholas Holden Photography, or you can just contact my email, and that's ndh30@txstate.edu. And I'm usually pretty quick on the response for those.
Okay, and I'll definitely put that on the video somewhere. All right, Nick, if you don't mind sharing with us what type of camera you use, the type of lens that you typically use, and how do you go about adjusting the lighting to take a picture?
So to start off, the camera that I'm using now is a Nikon D500. It's well known for high shutter speed and multiple frames per second, so it's really good for marketing stuff. The lens that I use, I switch between three of them. I have a Sigma 50 millimeter, which is really great for portraits and still lifes. I have a Nikon 17 to 50 millimeter, which is really good for landscape. It's a really wide angle. I also use that for portraits. And then the third one I have is a telephoto lens, and that goes from 150 millimeters to 600 millimeters, and that's great for marketing, sports photography, and wildlife photography, especially at a far distance. The process that I use for taking a well-exposed photo with proper lighting and proper subject matter, I usually go about it with setting my ISO, which typically makes the image more sensitive to light. I usually put that at a lower number just because it typically makes a photo grainier the higher it goes. I put that at a low number, And then my exposure will vary. So if I know if I'm in broad daylight, I'll set my aperture, from anywhere from 5.6 to about 11, just to have that nice range of depth of field in a photo. And then from there, I'll adjust my shutter, and usually in broad daylight, it goes from anywhere from about 500th of a second to maybe 1,000th of a second. Usually in lower light situations, I'll have to bump up the ISO because of just not enough light available, and then usually the shutter speed will vary from maybe a 20th of a second to a 100th of a second. And then from there, it's just depending on who the photographer is, you choose your subject matter, how you set up your portrait, how you set up your landscape photography. It all boils down to who the photographer is behind the camera.
See it.
Cool.
So, I guess one more question. Do you have a funny story about a picture you've taken, or besides the buffalo interaction, maybe a picture that you'll always remember, or a process of taking a picture that you'll always remember so far?
Yeah, okay. I would definitely say the funniest process of a photo I've ever taken is there's a dock in Tyler where my grandmother lives. And so the water by the dock is about 5 to 6 feet deep, and I'm 6'6", so the water comes up to about my neck or mid-chest. Well, my cousin has this dog, and you can see the dock. You can see the dock walkway, and it comes across to the dock. Well, I was standing in the water here, so I had the full view. Well, I had my cousin toss me my camera out in the water, so I caught the camera above my head in about 6 feet of water, and this is like a $1,000 camera at the time. Had him toss it to me, and then I had him call his dog across the boardwalk. So I had the camera, I'm holding it here so it doesn't touch the water, and he calls his dog, and I followed the dog the entire time I'm taking photos, and there's this one moment where it comes right in front of me. I get the photo, and it's perfect. Like, water's coming off of her, and the lighting, it's all the framing. It was perfect. My dad chewed my ass out for being in the water with the camera, but it's totally worth it.
Well, all right, Nick, we want to thank you, man, for giving us the time and then giving us a little bit of information about, your process of taking pictures and why you do what you do. And if you could just one more time say, where they can contact you, or how they can contact you.
My Facebook page is Nicholas Holden Photography. And then my email is N for Nick, D for Don, and H for Holden @txstate.edu.
All right, Nick. Thank you, man.
All right, appreciate it.